It's 8:13 on RM Breakfast. Our guest this morning is journalist David Marr, who's written a quarterly essay on Kevin Rudd. You've spent a lot of time looking at the Prime Minister, trawling over his background, talking to people who've known him from past stages of his lives. And at the end, you come to this rage, which you've talked about. I've got to say, it's the most tantalising pages of the essay. And let me just quote from it. Face to face, it's so clear Rudd is driven by anger. It's the juice in the machine. Who is the real Kevin Rudd? He is the man you see when the anger vents. He's a politician with rage at his core, impatient rage. What's he raging about?
He's raging about his childhood. He's raging about 3 or 4 humiliating and devastating years in his early childhood, the years that followed his father's death, years that he never spoke about much, until about 7 years ago. So it was over 30 years down the track before he started to tell the narrative of this dislocation in his early life. His father died in a car crash. The family was thrown off the farm. He ended up in what he believed was a cruel and inhospitable Catholic boarding school in Brisbane. And those years were, and if you look at the words he uses, he talks about humiliation, he talks about loss of dignity, he talks about the belittling situation of being left to sort of family charity to help them. And these years gave him wounds which have never healed. Now, I'm cautious about this, but it's a pattern. You know, there's a pattern of world leaders who have exactly this kind of experience in their early childhoods. He's another one of them.
OK, well, the Prime Minister has actually been asked exactly about this quote on AM just a short time ago. We've got his answer. Let's have a listen.
The journalist David Marr has written an essay about you where he's argued you're driven by anger. Do you have an angry heart?
I'll leave all the commentators sort that one out. I mean, I think there have been about 1,000 pieces written on me in recent times. People can make their own judgment.
OK, we'll get back to your judgment. That was Prime Minister Kevin Rudd speaking with Lyndall Curtis on the AM program just a moment ago. David, to your judgment, you basically put down that childhood, the tough childhood you just talked about there, and the sort of anger and resentment that might have fermented in anyone, into Kevin Rudd's decision to remake himself, build himself a different kind of life.
Become unassailable.
As you say, he taught himself to be a politician. He built this power base up through camaraderie by numbers. You paint this picture of a very sort of calculated bloke learning the skills of turning himself into something different and getting the power.
This man must never be underestimated because of his extraordinary capacity to learn to do what he wants to do. And he learnt to be a candidate for Parliament. He learnt to be a member of caucus. These things don't come easily to him. They're not instinctive. He learns, he learns to do them. But it's hard. And he doesn't have a completely easy and instinctive understanding of other human beings. And this is what makes it hard for him to persuade, hard for him to win affection from people who work closely with him. Those who do work closely with him do not like him much. That doesn't matter really, so long as what he does as a politician is very good. But what he does as a politician isn't actually so brilliant to justify the carnage around him.
He has had his moments of brilliance, and when he came into power and the apology to the stolen generations occurred,
wonderful.
There was a lot of praise for the Prime Minister. I think his management through the GFC, there's a lot of praise, not just here but elsewhere, for the Prime Minister. What kind of leader is he? Because you write in the essay that he sees himself in the Whitlam tradition.
Yes.
You make the comment, he's way out of his league here.
Yes. He's enormously impressed with Whitlam and has been from his childhood. One of the moments of his childhood that still resonates with him is as a little boy watching television accounts of Whitlam as the leader of the opposition in 1971 going to China. And politics and China and the outside world and this kind of daring are all there at the base of Rudd the politician. And he sees himself enormously attracted to Whitlam's crash-through or crash technique. And indeed, I have a suspicion that he sees himself very attracted to political martyrs. His great praise of the German theologian Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and also he's a great fan of Sir Thomas More, political martyrs. And I think there is an interest in him as well, in Whitlam, the great achiever and also the great martyr.
I wonder if the Kevin Rudd will end up being martyred on his own mining tax. David Marr, there's plenty in this essay to speak about. We can't fit it all in now, but thanks so very much for joining us.
A pleasure.
Fairfax journalist David Marr, and the latest quarterly essay, it's about Kevin Rudd. It's called Power Trip, The Political Journey of Kevin Rudd. It's 8.